Good afternoon, everyone. In today's video, I wanted to talk about a crusade for Christ that took place during the Easter season of 1957. And this was facilitated or organized by Reverend Davison and a large committee. And the sermons that took place during this time were led by Morris Roland Lovesey, who was the biblical literature professor at Acadia at that time. And this was a county-wide crusade for Christ. So there were other churches in the area that were participating in it. But as I read through some of the archives, could see that Berwick Baptist was really involved, and they had just a time packed full of events and things that took place. So the crusade itself took place over a 10-day period where there were sermons, almost daily sermons. There were worship evenings. There were prayer meetings. Bible classes were done. On the weekends, we had the full worship service as we would expect. There was a guest night, which was intentional for inviting people who may not know God or come to church. And so that evening was, the focus was evangelism. And there were many youth events, large youth events with big numbers, spiritual retreats, and just an amazing amount of stuff took place in those 10 days. And now, even leading up to those 10 days, there was 8 weeks of what they called cottage prayer meetings. And these prayer meetings, at least in the archives, it shows that there was about 8 prayer meetings a week. So they were very, very intentional in praying for revival, praying for a harvest, praying just that God would move during this time. And what I think is so amazing is, I know for myself, when I hear crusade, I think of war, right? And I think of perhaps some of the areas where the historical church has not done well to promote the name of Jesus Christ. So it was very interesting when I read that they had held this crusade for Christ. And I guess it reminded me of really just the importance of intentionally going out and moving and working with God to win people for God. And as I read through some of the documentations and just because there are lots of news articles, they were posting in the news as often as they could about what was going on, the events, what was to be expected, and just the hope that people would come up and would interact and would respond. And as I read through all that, I was just greatly encouraged by the intentionality that really this church, the church that we are a part of, the intentionality that they had and took on in just trying to help evangelize the area, bring the good news, bring the gospel to those who are next door to us. And it's just a wonderful thing to read about, and as I've said, very encouraging. So again, a crusade for Christ in the late 1950s, and it was a great success.